I know it's like so annoying. Hello, super expanders. You guys, it's one of these kind of like pinch me moments. I'm so excited for the guest that I get to share with you today. She is a friend, she is a light, she's an inspiration to so many. So, without further ado, I would love to share with you to introduce you to Kristen Crowley.
Hi.
Hello.
I love your voice. Your voice just soothes me every time I listen to it. I love it so much. I'm going to have you intro all of my everything from now on.
Oh, maybe this is my new career. I I think I have the where it's a what do they say? It's a voice for radio.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, but you have the face for TV too. It's okay.
You are such a sweetheart. So, just to give a little bit of context, Kristen and I met a few years ago, very first at a fitness conference. And the funniest thing is I actually had sat and I wrestled with myself, just trying to figure out whether I was actually going to go. Like, I signed up for this conference and then I was like, no way, I'm not going to go. This is just going to be like fitness models and beautiful people. And I don't even fit in here at all. I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go. And then I somehow drugged myself, got on the airplane, flew across the country to Arizona to this fitness conference. And one of the very first people that I met was Kristen Crowley. And she, if you could just see her smiling at me, she's the most beautiful woman you could ever meet. And on top of that, she has just this like shining light, warm personality. And I mean, literally the most inclusive person. And she spoke to me and I was like, oh, thank goodness. Like I came like, oh, I actually am in the right place.
Everybody there. That was my first year going in person, which is the funniest part. And I swear to God, I knew at least 60 or 70% of the people there. And everybody thought I had attended for years because it's like I couldn't go 3 feet and I was saying hi to somebody else. But honestly, it was my first time. I had not met half of those people, but I was hell bent on making every connection possible. And I guess I'm like the welcome wagon wherever I go with work. And I don't want everybody to ever feel left out or less than. So I'm an overcompensator when it comes to saying hi to everybody. And I want to know about people. So, I spent all those years in TV and news business. I wanted to tell stories. I like learning about people's backgrounds. So, I mean, you're there and then we got to develop like a whole relationship out of that.
Absolutely. And I say you saying hi to me and making me feel comfortable in a place where I was like, I'm not sure. I didn't know one person. I literally didn't know one single person in the entire conference. It was kind of a big, bold move for me to do that on my own. And so you made me feel right at home and like I had a friend. So that's how our friendship started, guys. So I thought I would share that with you. But now, since then, it has evolved over time. She and I were in a mastermind together. And here we are today chatting on the Super Expander podcast. And I'm so excited to share her with you today. So I love to just kind of roll right into this deep question straight off the bat because I'm just so tired of fluff. So I'm just going for it, right off the bat. Who is Kristen Crowley, just deep down inside, outside of the TV personality, the fitness model, fitness influencer, the beautiful woman that you are? Who are you deep down inside?
Probably a slightly lazy, extremely nerdy, gawky person who probably puts on a better front than most people know. To be honest, I mean, I think that we all can do the smoke and mirrors and look like something or get that perception of yourself, but I still feel probably equally as awkward and weird in most situations as I did when I was a kid. So I was like a child who never spoke. I didn't speak. I was super quiet. And I think a lot of people relate to that when you're going through, your teens, and it's not easy. And I didn't really come out of my shell until, in my probably late 20s. So it took a lot to get me to come out, but I always felt excluded. So I guess that's why I'm always so inclusive of other people. I want them to be happy and to feel good about themselves, and kind of have the strength and confidence I have now. It was pretty silent that way as I was younger. So yeah, as a person, I just want people to feel needed and happy. And, I love I love animals. I appreciate literally everything every day. I'm grateful for everything that I have. And I don't take anything for granted. So money, success, none of that means shit to me because it doesn't matter unless you're really honestly a decent person and can go to sleep at the end of the day and know you at least did something good. So yeah, I guess I kind of formed who I am over the years and why I'm probably the way that I still am now with people.
And that is why I knew. I mean, I'm sure that this is exactly why when I first met you, I was like, ah, she's my people.
You're my people. We're all each other's people. It just depends if you can find something in common or not. That's
Absolutely.
that's hard.
So if you could imagine that she was quiet and shy, this is really, really hard to believe. I feel like I'd like to see some videos or some footage of what this looked like when you were a child, because you have had a pretty, like coming out of your shell. I mean, let's talk about that for a little bit. That from going from a child who was as quiet and shy, you stepped into essentially the antithesis of that, the spotlight, sitting on TV news as an anchor.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. I did not want to do television. Television was never my goal. But I think as women or young girls in particular, you want to feel, wanted, desired, pretty, like those things, we all face that when we're in our early kind of finding ourselves journey. I think everybody does. So I did the modeling and I did the, because I had a decent body. I could take good photos. I photographed better than I looked in person most of the time. So it gave me confidence to do that kind of stuff, but I could not speak, like I could not speak in front of a camera. And that was kind of my entire childhood. I opted out of every speech class. I wouldn't speak to most people unless I knew them. I was raised on a horse farm, so I was around animals all the time. Animals don't talk back and animals don't judge you. So I was super happy being just a farm kid and not really having any attention put on me. And that kind of led into my 20s when I just was like, at some point you have to go after things that you desire. And I actually, once I found out about the world of media and production and entertainment, I actually loved it. I just was so scared to do it that I put it off for years and years and years. And that was, when I decided to go into television, that was probably the most painful growth experience I think I have ever been through, because I was kind of pushed into it. I didn't do it on my desire. I didn't hunt it down. But for those of you who find it interesting, I was actually a bartender and I had a customer come in who was into marketing and they said, you know what, you'd be great on television. And I was like, no, I'm just really good at bullshitting because I'm a bartender. And they said, no, we want you to try this. Like, seriously, try it. And I went through my first few commercials, like TV commercial experiences, and they were horrendous and they're so horrible. I will try and find a video for you, Corey, because you'll die. They're so bad. And I did it. And then I was like, okay, I didn't die. So I almost threw up and I almost fell down because I was shaking so hard, but I didn't die. So let's try it again. And then that just led to me learning the background of production and entertainment, and then going into the news business and really having to say at that point in my life, I was like, I have to stop being scared and I have to do something that I feel deep down. Everybody keeps telling me I'm good at it, but I am so self-doubting myself that I didn't want to do it. And I missed out on probably a lot of years of growth because I was just so scared of people judging me and thinking that didn't look right, didn't sound right. And regardless, they judge you anyways, because I got a list of emails you can read that are the worst comments ever about me. But I knew that I was helping people and doing a good job. So bottom line, I fought through it. And it was, I think it is hard for people to realize that I didn't speak at all. Like, I mean, I was so quiet through middle school, hadn't really very few friends. It was definitely a different person. And even in my early 20s, different person. So I think age is a beautiful thing. And I love getting older. So don't be afraid of it.
Yeah, it truly is like aging like fine wine, right? Wisdom and all of the things and the freedom that comes with that. So funny thing that you said that I feel like is indicative of a lot of things. So it's very interesting. You said that you went through the commercial and you didn't die. So you went back, which I actually think well, it's this like funny common thread of a certain kind of person. And I get it because I'm actually the same kind of person. You're like, oh, I didn't die. So maybe I should try that again and see if I can just push the limits just a little bit more. It's like that excitement, that thrill, which I think
Yeah.
also translates over into oftentimes our workouts and things like
Yeah.
that. I see it's a very common thing amongst the people who really enjoy physical activity.
Yeah. I think so. You're 100% right.
I think that's just a funny thing. So okay, so you went into media, you and tell us a little bit about that journey and how it evolved to bring you to where you are today.
Okay. So yeah, so I mean, and I grew up with, a really strong mother who was very, very well spoken and very photogenic and like very present. So I kind of, learned from her, but quietly. So I knew how to carry myself. I knew how to be strong. I learned, I showed horses, so I knew how to be poised and to at least fake it till you make it. And I know people hate that saying, like fake it till you make it. It saved my ass for years going into every career I've ever went to. So I love that saying because if you're at least confident enough in yourself, you can fake some of the parts you don't know about and look like you are a professional at it. TV land was interesting. It was hard. It was a schedule of, for those who don't know, news business is not an easy schedule and it's horrible pay, worst paying job I've ever had in my life. But I was up at about 2:45 every morning. I worked the morning and the noon show, and then I'd go home around 1, but I didn't go home because, I had to work out and get my workouts in, which were hard and grueling, as we all know, had to go lift a shit ton of weight. Then I had to, go get my kids from school. Then we do sports. Then we do, dinner, and then we get ready. And then I wouldn't go to bed till 10 or 11, do it all again. So Corey, when we met, I was at the end of almost the end of my career. And I had been there almost 12 years at that point on the same shift. So kind of like I would say it's almost an overnight shift, but it was hard. And I learned a lot in television just on combining that with my years of bartending with people skills, what people wanted, how to show up. And I pushed myself really, 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 really hard the whole time. I mean, I never gave myself a break. I had 2 on-air pregnancies. Both were really high risk. I had multiple surgeries. I had to go through a lot of stuff being on air. And it started to, as we know, when you get closer to 40, my hormones, everything started to shut down. My body shut down. So when we met in our mastermind, it was, I had about like 8 months left in my contract to make a decision whether I was staying or not. And I was going through multiple biopsies and health issues. And I decided for my family and my health that I had to get out of the business. Had no clue what I was going to do with it, except help women find PR and media assistants. What that meant, I had no idea. And, I met this incredible group of women in our mastermind that kind of helped me and kind of guided me through my second year of doing that to really kind of fine tune what I wanted to do. And kind of honestly, when you're scared to do something, it's nice to have people around you again that are encouraging you. And you guys all did that for me and made me know that it was going to be okay if I left and I didn't have to hold on to that label of being a news anchor, which I think all of us women aspire to be respected. And that holds us back sometimes because we stay in jobs we don't want to stay in. We put up with shit we don't need to put up with, just because it's a label that makes us look more dominant and respected. I was the same person I've always been. It didn't change me 1 ounce being in television, because it doesn't go to my head. I don't think it's that special to be on TV. Honestly, I don't think it's special to be an athlete either. I just think you're a normal person who just has a talent. So that gave me an easier way to get out of it. I wasn't as ego driven as I was in the beginning of it. So I got through the news and decided I was going to fall into this fitness world that I loved so much because it helped me get through all of my postpartum depression and everything else, and surround myself with women that actually supported me. Because I think when we met that year and the year before were the only 2 years I ever felt I had women that got me, like understood me, would support me no matter what, could, be there for me. And that was a breakthrough of getting out of television, was knowing that there's people who like you regardless of what your status is, and they're going to be there for you no matter what you are on the outside or what your labels are. So that was my big TV breakthrough of giving up on it and saying, I'm going to do it on my own terms. And I did. I put in my resignation and I left, and they were not happy, but I did it anyways. But no amount of money could keep me doing something that was that detrimental, to my health over time. It's just not worth it.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, I have experienced burnout and hormonal imbalances because of that. So, and my schedule was nothing like yours. And I thought mine was grueling until I just listened to the 2:45 a.m. wake up time, work day, and then basically almost like entering the world when everyone else is just kind of getting started, and you had a whole nother day to go through before you finally got home to to go to bed for like 3 hours before you had to get up again.
Yeah. Yeah. The human body is amazing. As women, we are the strongest freaking animals on the planet because our bodies will adapt to anything we put them through, which is scary because we end up hurting ourselves like I did.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So what has been the process for you just in terms of healing from that, in
Oh
terms of
God.
just hormones, sleep, resetting, reintegration, just like all the things?
So it's been 2.5 years since I left that schedule. And I can say I am still in the throes of hormonal, like thyroid issues and balance. I have employed every avenue possible because one, I had the means to do so. A lot of people aren't that fortunate to be able to, get to functional medicine practitioners and see certain doctors and do all the things. But I think the biggest thing for me was consistent blood tests and knowing what was going on with my body, because I could feel it. Like, I think as anybody who's in the fitness wellness space, you can feel when your body's off, and we know when something's wrong. So I had a lot of growths on my thyroid that were really huge. Like, it looked like they thought they were going to take it out. And I ended up, they went away once I actually quit my job, which was crazy because they were all stress and inflammation related. But I also had kind of some IVF like horror stories in my past. So my whole entire system was jacked and I went in huge swings. So don't ever think that you're back to normal, especially over 40, because your hormones, I went from extreme hyperthyroidism when I left to now hypothyroidism that, my body has like just, it's tanking again. So I went in huge waves and it has affected me physically on the outside, appearance wise. I mean, all of those things, but I've maintained a consistent schedule. I eat well, I drink a lot when I want to, I live my life. I'm not strict anymore on anything. And I'm finally getting about 7 hours of sleep a night, which was huge for me because I got 4 hours of sleep a night for 12 years. And that killed my entire system. I mean, everything, endocrine, everything was shot. So it's taken, but yeah, 2.5 years, I'm still healing. And I'm still not there. I mean, I just started new thyroid medication this week. So I don't know if it'll, I'm trying not to put a date on it. And I don't want people out there to lose faith because it is a long process. It's nothing you can fix. When you go through severe burnout, it does take years to get your body back to what's normal for you anyways.
Right. I mean, and the perspective there, it's like it takes a really long time to get to the point where that damage has been done. So the
Yeah.
reversal process, you have to give yourself time
Mhm.
and space. And then you're also dealing with the constant flux of just our bodies already always changing. So there is the question of when you get back to what baseline is, your recollection of baseline is probably good. If there's going to be a difference anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. It's never, never the same weight, never the same measurements. It's never going to be the same sleep cycle. It's never going to be the same hormones. It's never going to be the same blood test. All your thyroid levels are going to go up and down. So I'm in the throes of that still. And it's frustrating, but I'm alive and I'm able to work out and I'm happy. So that's what matters. So whatever. So I just
Absolutely.
go with it.
So, I mean, I think this is so important for so many women to hear, just in terms of maintaining and just paying attention to your hormones and making sure that you
Yeah.
get sleep, and if you're getting those messages, to listen to them. So you go through this whole process, you finally leave this career that was exciting and brought you to where you are, and you dove into this whole new realm. Let's talk a little bit about that. Tell me a little bit about what it is. I mean, I know what you're doing, but let's tell everybody else what you're doing these days.
And yeah, so, years of media and years of experience before that, of course, with, modeling and publications. And then, years of experience before that in retail and merchandising design. I have a very weird background. It's just weird. Like there's no other way to put it. I have a very odd life in general of going through different careers. And I was blessed enough, again, during the conference you were talking about at the beginning, to meet my future business, or who would be my future business partner and is my business partner now. And when we kind of collided forces, which I never thought, like I had just found a group of women that supported me. Never thought in a million years I could work with another woman, because we're all fairly alpha personality types in the wellness industry. Like, what you want, you do what you want. And I never thought I would work with someone. And then I found my business partner who is literally like the yin to my yang, and had different skill sets that kind of mirrored mine, but were different. And when we got talking, I had created an event for people in wellness, like a social event. And I saw a lot of things missing in the industry for women in wellness and fitness in particular. And it was more so really building like business foundations and learning what to do right, and then developing a brand image. So we created reFRAME Your Brand out of that. And it's been 2 years that we've been in business, and literally grew by leaps and bounds so quickly, because we actually found something that fulfilled us personally. And we had no monetary goal with it. We had no expectations. We just knew we had to serve, and we knew what was missing in the industry. So we did the photo shoot retreats. So, where you come and get all your content done in a weekend type thing. And it was just things to make women's lives easier. Cause I mean, if I would have had all that back, when I started out on my journey, or even before I was in television and social media was just starting to come onto the scene, I, would have saved so much time and so much stress and so much wasted money on shit that didn't work. So it was a blessing to be pushed, or to make the decision to, one, give up a really big title to take on a business that had no guarantee whatsoever and to invest all of my time and effort into it, and really just say, okay, screw it. Like, this is where we're supposed to be. But it felt so right. And I think when and you're guided to certain areas of your life for a reason. And I was guided to that point. And so we started reFRAME, and it honestly saved my life through the pandemic. It saved my sanity, having, women around me, having a group to coach with. And because when the pandemic hit, we had to shift everything we were doing too, just like all of us did, and recreate and reFRAME it again to be an online system. And we're finally back to in-person stuff again this year, which is amazing. I'm so excited about that.
So it's been quite the journey that you have gone through, so through all of this, I feel like one of the most important things for us is to have people that I don't know, are a light for us, a mentor, someone who calls us up. So on this journey, which has been lots of different things that you've gone through, there had to have been some people along the way that really were expanders for you, super expanders in the context of your life, your career. I'd love for you to share a story, a super expander story with us.
So I've had a super expander in every single life, like morphing season I've went through, which is, I think, again, people are placed in your life for certain reasons. As a kid, my super expander was my mom, because she is literally the real life Wonder Woman. She looks like her. He is, more muscular, stronger, smarter, beautiful, was self-made millionaire, had her own businesses, never worked for anyone else a day in her life, and was a very domineering force. So I learned how to get my confidence from her, and that strength, and women are stronger than we ever give ourselves credit for. So we don't need men for anything, was what I learned from my mother, which was great. And my husband gets to deal with that now, which is even better. So she was the first person who ever challenged me in the sense of physically and being a competitor. Because I showed horses, and horses is a very solo sport. Like when you're an equestrian, it's you and your horse versus them. I was never into group sports because I didn't like other kids laughing at me. So I would refuse to fail. So she guided me in the horse industry and made me, a champion in that aspect. And I had physical strength like no other. So that made me confident too, because she taught me at a young age to lift weights and to, I was 10 years old lifting 100-pound hay bales. I was, physically a very strong person. So I grant her for being the main person in my life. And still to this day, she's in her 70s, still works out every day, has her own real estate business. Like she's, just that type of person. So I think she's the biggest one. But I had a teacher in high school who forced me to do an interview with her because I was so afraid to speak. And I did visual merchandising and store design. And she was the one who said, you are really talented, but if you don't open your mouth, no one's going to hire you. And so she got me my first job, where I actually was the visual merchandising manager and the first 19-year-old manager of a Lord & Taylor store. So I was promoted and moved across the country at 19 because of her. She put me in that position, taught me how to interview. And even though I was scared to death, again, fake it till I make it. I got through the interview, and I was like the first executive in the company at 19. So didn't go to college, did college during high school. So she was the big one there. And then I had, there's a lot of them, so I'm trying to get through them quickly. A friend in the restaurant business when I was in that industry that said, why do you try so hard? Stop trying so hard for all these people that would replace you tomorrow if you quit or left. Like, stop worrying so much what other people think, because you're replaceable. So what makes you so special? Like, just do your job, be happy for yourself, because they're not going to be happy for you. So that's when I leveled up in the restaurant industry. And then I went into television, which was one of my bar customers who was the greatest person ever, Chris. And he said, you're going to be good at this, and I will make sure you're good at this. And he forced me into my interview with the station I worked at for 12 years and got promoted to news anchor from traffic, and learned everything about television from. And then, met my business partner, Jill, who is probably the driving force for me at this point in my life, because she challenges me every day to do things I never thought were possible in business. And every day tells me how amazing I am, which is probably the biggest thing that I've ever experienced. Again, we call it, she's my non-sexual life partner. So that's what we refer to each other as now. So we're stuck together, and she's helped me get over the fact of thinking that I was stuck in one business, for the rest of my life, or that I was just going to be, not grow in that sense again after turning 40. So that was a big one. There's so many other people in between with publications and mentors. And I've been really blessed to see each of those people as a super expander type in my life. And I think if you keep your eyes out for those type of people, they're always there. You just have to accept their help. So I hope that I'm not done with super expanders in my life. I hope that I find a new one every season, because every one of those people literally changed the course of my life and built my confidence. And I think that's what we all struggle with, is finding confidence in ourselves to do all the things we want to do. And each of those people gave me a little piece to the puzzle. And the puzzle, I would say at this point, is pretty much complete, because I really have zero F's about anything. And I will do what I want, how I want, and I know I'll be good at it. So I think when you reach that point, you've got, again, it's like superhero team. Super is a good word for it. It's like having all your superheroes behind you that give you all these cool powers.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's what I believe super expanders truly are. And it's not, I think there's a super expander that is within all of us for someone else. And I think it's really important for us to recognize that, because knowing that your talents, your gifts that we don't always see as talents and gifts are a shining light of inspiration and encouragement for others. And how cool is that?
It's amazing. You picked literally that title when I first saw you put that out there. I was like, wow. It's like, that is really honestly what it is. Like, I mean, that's what we've all experienced in one way or another. And everybody has experienced that, which is the coolest part. You may not realize it, but if you think back and look, like it could have been, I mean, and it can be as simple as that one person who just sees you at the gym and helps you out and tells you how amazing you are. Like that's someone who could expand your day. And I guess that's why I'm always complimenting people or trying to make them feel better, because you just never know. I mean, nowadays, you don't know what people are going through. And it's your job as a good human to actually make a difference. So if just smiling at someone makes a difference, it's not that hard. Just be polite. I had a guy the other day who was shocked that I waited and held the door open for him. He was an older man. And he was so shocked. He's like, wow. He's like, well, thank you, young lady. He's like, that was so kind of you. I'm like, no, sir, we're all here to help each other. So come on. And he was the nicest person, but like little simple things like that. You don't know you're making a difference, but you are. So that, I love that question. That's a good one. It makes me think about all these things.
Yeah, it's right. So this exciting journey that you've been on from one career to the next, encountering super expander upon super expander, pushing you to reach new heights and new levels in your life and your career, all the things. So what is the North Star that really gets you up in the morning? What is the feeling that you are, I hate the word chasing, but
Yeah.
that you're going for, that you're really trying to step into in a bigger way every day?
I think mine, after being locked down for so long in an industry that's extremely controlling, is definitely creating freedom or space to be myself, which I was never really allowed to be myself. As a, I mean, I was, but as a kid, you're always trying to please other people. So I think create freedom and space are like my North Stars that I always look towards, because if I do something every day towards that, then I'm building complete freedom from everything, whatever that may be, judgment, schedules, time, all of it. So I'm on that path, which is great. But I still use a lot of people in my life. Like my kids are amazing, and they're the coolest kids ever. I'm not just saying that, they're actually really cool. And, I want to be the role model for them, kind of like I saw my mom growing up, as far as being strong and independent and, hardworking and, still being kind to other people and non-judgmental. So I try and stay, use them as kind of that guiding light too, because I'm like, what would my kids think if they saw this? Like, I'm so glad we didn't have like social media in my early 20s, because they would think a lot of things about me. Because there's a lot of things that happened that I am so glad never made the internet, because I would have never gotten my job. But I try and do that as an example. But yeah, and then, my business partner, Jill's probably my daily guiding light, because I think we have different ones. Like we have, motivation. We have someone who's just there to support like different things that we're working towards every day. So, building a successful business is important to me now, because it never really was before, because I always worked for someone else. So now I get to build my own dream business, and I get to help all of these people. And it's like hundreds of people. And it's incredible to see someone else getting like an ounce of that, like superpower, like finding their little inner superpowers is probably the other thing that, like, every time I get on a call every day, that's what keeps me going too.
Uh, I love that. So I think you're knocking it out of the park, at least from my vantage point.
We're having a good time. That's what I can say. We work hard, but we play hard. So
that's what life is all about.
I know. Oh, it's so fun.
So if you could be a super expander for others, which you already are, we already know this, but in the context of our conversation here, I love to open up this time for the super expander moment. If you could go back and give yourself just a little juicy nugget of advice or encouragement, what would it be? Because I feel like this is like the secret to collapsing time for other people, when they get to hear the wisdom that you would share with your younger self. They can take that now and step into it, and we get to save others hurt, pain, time, wasted time, which is our most valuable resource.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, again, I have like so many feelings about each of these things, because fear of judgment was one of my biggest things that kept me so quiet my entire life until I was in my 20s, and forced me into like unhealthy behaviors, like, under eating, over exercising, and those type of things. My biggest thing to myself as being younger would be nobody cares. And I know that sounds really harsh, but nobody really cares that much. They may say something detrimental, but you're like a second, millisecond of time in their life, and they really don't care that much. So you got to stop taking things so personally. And I was so afraid of what people would think of me all the time that I just didn't do anything. I didn't act because I was so scared. I was literally paralyzed with stage fright and fear. And I would tell myself now, like, nobody really cares. Like, just do it. You're fine. And they're gonna, you're gonna find people who love you. You're gonna find people who hate you. And just, if you can get through it, that is the most powerful statement you can make to anybody, is actually taking action. And I'm glad I do it now. And I'm glad I help other people do it now. I also would have told myself back then is to not be afraid of investing money in yourself and your future, because I was so afraid of spending money on things as a, young executive type person in their 20s who was living with IKEA furniture and, a crappy apartment. I didn't really focus on, I was always afraid to invest in things that would better my business or myself. So I learned that lesson in the past few years, to really just find the right people who can help you get there faster. Because you said it, time, like we waste so much freaking time. And not that I feel like I don't feel my age at all, but I look back, I'm like, God, I could have probably at this point, if I would have done all this stuff earlier, but then would I have been ready? Probably not. But it's just, so it's kind of a conundrum of, taking action, but just, stop caring what people think is like the biggest thing. I think if I could tell myself is, you're fine. Like, you're not that dorky. People will actually like you. just go out there. Your voice isn't terrible. Like everything we tell ourselves because we won't do stuff, all of that is so not true. You're the worst critic in your life. Nobody else cares that much.
So true. That also makes me think of that saying of what someone else thinks of you is not your business, which is also, it kind of goes hand in hand with that. They really don't care that much. You're the one that cares that much. But if they are thinking it, it's like, it's just not even your business what they think.
It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't change your life at all, which is they're not paying your bills. They're not in your life. Like I don't judge anybody. So it's hard for me when people judge, because I always look at all three sides of every story before I ever form an opinion. But that's just something personally I do. And I wish more people would do, because you don't know. Like, I mean, I've had so many assumptions about me and like lies and rumors. And it's, at this point, it's not even hurtful. It's just entertaining. Like, I just have to laugh. It's bad, but whatever.
So it's so true and so good. So I'm certain that every single person that is listening to this podcast needs to know how to find you, how to get into your world. So what is the best way for them to do that? What's your preferred way?
Come into the world. Get ready for the crazy. Here we go. Yeah, it's super easy, because we have on Instagram is just reFRAME your brand and Kristen Crowley TV. So that's what I am on everything. And online, you can find us at reframeyourbiz.com. And we love to have women that want to create content and have a good time doing it and build their brands, and that's who we help. So if you need help or have questions, Corey knows this, I'm like an open book about literally everything in my life. So, reach out, shoot me a DM, let me know, what stood out to you, what you want to talk about. And I'm always there for everybody. That's probably one of my bad traits too, is I'm always there for everybody, but I am. So
one of your good traits and your bad traits.
Yeah,
right?
That's one of my, like, it's good and it's bad, because I like to talk to and answer any kind of questions. But yeah, those are the easiest ways to find me. And definitely, if you have, like, even with PR and media and marketing, like, just ask me those questions. I've went through it all, so you don't have to.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so of course you can find that in the show notes. Just slide right on down and you can give a follow, ask a question, slide into her world, say hello. She has a wealth of information and of course just loads of inspiration. Thank you so much for being here. So grateful for you.
I love you. Thank you for having me.
Love you back. We will catch you on the next episode.